morning, Honolulu. Looks like we're in store for another beautiful and serene December day.
Hey, Silas. My girl Betty sent me her picture yesterday. Oh, let me tell you about Rita Hayworth. Ain't got nothing on her.
Rita Hayworth? Wait a second. I thought you said Betty was a blonde.
No, it's Mary Lou. I'll tell you what, farm boy. I'll put him on a chart.
Listen up, Marines. You take a good long look. Hope none of you ever see a day like this again. Now, nobody will ever know what it was like. But maybe the ones that lived through it. You just be damn sure you don't forget the ones who didn't.
December 7th, 1941, 10 in the morning. The United States suffers one of history's most devastating surprise attacks. With 2,403 dead and her once invincible Navy decimated, America is forced to join the conflict already raging in Europe and Asia. Prior to Pearl Harbor, the Japanese war machine had swept across China, cutting off American aid, and then pressed on into Burma with limited resistance. At home, Japan was building up a seemingly superior naval fleet, led by some of the world's largest aircraft carriers. But Admiral Yamamoto's prediction had come true. The aftermath of the Day of Infamy had indeed awakened the sleeping giant that was America. As the Emperor's armies march toward the Philippines, the United States takes action.
Dear Joe, you'll never know how happy and relieved we were to hear from you. Mom and I were clearing the lunch dishes when news of the Pearl Harbor attack came on the radio. Mom went all white and dropped a big platter on the floor. Dad finally calmed her down, but I don't think she slept at all, waiting for word that you were all right. There were more photographs in the paper this morning. It must have been horrible to be there, Joe. Thank heaven Donnie wasn't stationed in Hawaii, too. I don't think Mom would have survived the worry. Like everyone else, we listened to the president's speech the next day. Dad was real quiet afterwards. I think he always believed there'd never be another great war like the one he'd lived through. That evening, I saw an amazing sight. I passed by the Army recruitment office, and there were hundreds of men lined up outside. A few boys from my school were there, and 8 men on Dad's shift clocked out and signed right up, the coal dust still on their faces. We hear now that war's been declared, and once you've shipped out, you won't be able to tell us where you are. Write back when you can, and stay safe. Love from your sister, Mary. P.S. Mom wants to keep all the Christmas decorations up until you and Donnie get home, so get this war over with fast.
At ease, lad. Listen, son, I'm sorry about your brother. We got a damn tough job done, and most of us made it out alive. He was a good Marine. You can't ask for more than that.
With American armed forces now fully engaged in war, Japanese-occupied South Pacific islands are feeling the pressure. But hopes are crushed for a swift Allied victory in the Philippines. After a long, bloody battle, General MacArthur is ordered to retreat. Thousands of troops are left behind and forced to surrender. The enemy now controls the Philippines. MacArthur vows to return. In a bold offensive move, the United States prepares to land 10,000 troops on Guadalcanal, a relatively unknown island, where a strategic airfield is under construction by Japanese forces.
Dear Joe, I have no idea if you've been told yet, but I have terrible news. Yesterday we got a telegram, the kind everyone dreads. Mom refused to open it until Dad rushed home from work. It was about Donnie. He's missing in action in the Philippines. We've tried to get more information from the War Department, but all we know is Donnie and some of the other men in his unit are unaccounted for. Mom's taking this very hard. She's holding on to the hope that Donnie's just been separated from the other Marines, that he made it out of the battle but hasn't been able to report back yet. Maybe it's just some awful mistake. Dad says that can happen sometimes, right? For now, all we can do is pray for another telegram with better news. Somehow, I know it will come. I decided I had to do something to take my mind off things, to help the war effort. With all the men gone overseas, a lot of the girls are working in the factories now. I applied for a job down at the Atlas Steel plant, and I start on Monday. Where are you, Joe? Your last letter had so many holes cut out by the censors that it looked like a sieve. But please, write again. It means so much to us to hear from you, especially now. Love, Mary.
Listen up, Marines. The mission is to soften up the enemy before the main assault at dawn. We land across the beach, proceed to the airfield, destroy an ammo dump, eliminating the remaining resistance. Sit tight till our relief arrives. Any questions? Well done, Griffin. Now we got this airfield secured, we can get a foothold on this island and start pushing the Japanese back. We're through retreating, lad. America's back in this war.
When John Adams formed the Marines in 1775, an entirely new method of warfare was born. Unlike armies that marched cross-country to battle, the Marines were amphibious, launching their attacks with shore landings. In the decade before World War II, the Marines began to truly develop their style of combat. This preparation paid huge dividends in the early days following America's entry into the war. Guadalcanal was taken and secured with almost no loss. However, swift Japanese counterattacks led to a tough and costly campaign to hold the island. Despite the brutal climate and high number of enemy troops, the Marines, aided by U.S. soldiers and local inhabitants, were finally victorious. Later in the war, the Marines and their unique battle tactics would prove invaluable.
Dear Joe, last week, out of the blue, we got a phone call from a Marine corporal in Buffalo who'd been wounded and sent home. His name is Ray Parrish, and he's been trying to track us down for weeks. Corporal Parrish was with Donnie's unit when the Japanese invaded the Philippines. He heard that Donnie and several other Marines were captured and sent to a prison camp. Dad finally talked to a man at the War Department today. The government can't verify Ray's story. They can only continue to list Donnie as missing. But, Joe, what if it's true? At least he's alive. That's what we must believe now. Ray is visiting family in Erie soon, and he's promised to drive down to Pittsburgh. He has snapshots of Donnie from when they were stationed together on Wake Island. I can't wait to meet him. I'll mail you a package tomorrow with socks, razor blades, and magazines. I hope it reaches you soon. With love, Mary.
I don't imagine any of us got much sleep, so I'll spare the small talk. This is the situation. We managed to take the airfield, but we haven't pushed the Japanese off the island yet. Still delaying our repair crews with artillery from the west, and they hit us hard last night, as you can tell. Headquarters is calling that artillery position Pistol Pete. We can't use this airfield with Artie firing at us all day and all night. I want that damn Pistol Pete taken out. Raider patrols say there's a Scot and some coast watchers in the area. Been on the island since the start of the war. Keep an eye out for them. They could be of some help. Brooks and Thomason are your squad. Take care of them, Corporal. Shut down that artillery no matter what it takes.
Blooming Japanese!
Righto, let's move on then.
Here he is, sir. This kid's got potential. Really hate to lose him, but I think he's exactly what you're looking for.
7 months after joining the war, America's need for intelligence gathering and distribution was growing critical. Traditionally, these tasks had belonged to the Department of State. President Roosevelt sought advice from a trusted friend, William J. Donovan, a Medal of Honor recipient and veteran of the Great War. Donovan proposed a new, autonomous, and covert organization to carry out intelligence missions behind enemy lines. The Office of Strategic Services was created in June 1942 under Donovan's control. This elite force would swiftly become a critical weapon against the Axis. With units sent to every front, agents of the OSS were instrumental in many Allied victories.
Hi, Joe. You're probably wondering about the stationery. Even though I did swell on the assembly line, the foreman offered me a job as secretary to the accounts office. It's more money, so I can't complain. But you should see your little sister's spot weld steel plate. I have to tell you a funny story. Last night we went to the Grand Theater to see a movie. Wished you'd been with us. Before the feature, there was a newsreel showing some Marines on Guadalcanal. Suddenly, Dad jumps from his seat and yells, "That's my son! That's Joe!" He ran back to the projection booth and made them show it again. It was quick, but one of those boys sure looked like Joe Griffin. I even saved you a souvenir. Well, coffee break is over, but I'll send a longer letter soon. Oh, we got your postcard. Even though it took weeks to cross the Pacific, it really brightened the day. Love, Mary.
Take a seat, Sergeant Griffin. Now that you've completed your OSS training, we need you in active service. Immediately. In fact, tonight. One of our operatives has uncovered evidence of a top-secret Axis summit planned for tonight, somewhere in Singapore. We need to know what those bastards are up to. One of our Nisei operatives will make contact, a Private First Class Tanaka. He'll brief you upon arrival. Additionally, the Limeys have an SOE operative underground there, a Major Bromley. He's kind of a wild card, so keep your eyes peeled. That's the mission. And remember, we're depending on you.
Come on! Let's go!
This information needs to get back to the OSS. Our only chance is to find out where the gold is and stop it from being moved. I think I still have a few friends in Burma.
Along with successfully occupying much of the Pacific, the Japanese Golden Lily team began a systematic pillaging of Asian wealth. The team looted thousands of metric tons of gold and valuables from Chinese cities. The largest load was collected by General Yamashita after his conquest of Singapore, the repository of many hidden British and French assets. The one obstacle the Japanese faced was getting their hoard back to the homeland. At first, the enemy relied on naval transport. However, after Allied forces picked up on this tactic and began hitting the Emperor's navy hard, the Japanese began securing their treasure in underground mines.
Dear Joe, last month we had a big storm and the elm in the backyard came down. Sorry to say, your old treehouse was smashed. Donnie's gonna be awfully upset when he gets home. Mom found his magazines in the wreckage and put them in the trash. So that's where he was hiding them. After the stump was cleared, Mom planted a victory garden. Between tending her crops and volunteering at the Red Cross, she's keeping busy. I'm sure you've heard about all the shortages here. I had to save up a month's worth of sugar ration stamps to make Dad's birthday cake, and the tires on the car are bald as a cue ball. But we don't mind these little sacrifices because we know it helps all of you fighting for us overseas. We think of you and Donnie constantly and pray for your safe return. Write back when you can, big brother. Much love, Mary.
How's the scenery from up there, Raj? Over?
Good. Very good. Well, there's a lot of temples in the valley, Major Brumley. Can't say for certain, but there appears to be some activity near the large temple to the north of your current position. Over?
Understood, mate. That should be good enough for now. Get yourself out of range, over.
Roger, just 2 more passes. I want another look at the temple before we move in. Over.
Damn it! We have to move now. They'll be swarming the crash site in a matter of minutes.
What the hell is that? Major?
Stand lively, lads! Get on board! Well done, Griffin. You were right. We've destroyed Cuba's gold smelting operations. But there's still a lot of missing gold being moved out there somewhere. We gotta find it and stop it.
Burma was an important Southeast Asian land supply route for the Americans as well as the Japanese. Control of Burma meant control over a key artery for supplies traveling in both directions. Enemy forces used this route to send looted wealth south to its aircraft carriers. The United States depended on Burmese roads to lend support to the Chinese in their fight against Japanese occupation. The most successful form of transport in Burma was the railway system. The air routes were inefficient, and the sea belonged to the Allies. With the forced labor of slaves and prisoners, the Japanese laid track at breakneck speed, at a tragic cost of many lives. As the battles were fought in thick jungle, control of Burma changed hands several times. But finally, the Allies seized control.
Dear Joe, Saturday afternoon there was a big war bond rally downtown with a parade, a band, and a radio broadcast. I went with Ray Parrish, Donnie's friend from the service. You would like him, Joe. We've been seeing each other for a few months now. Anyway, who's there selling bonds but your favorite pinup, Madeline May? She was signing photos and there was a big mob around her. But Ray shouldered his way through and got right up to the stage. He told Miss May about the Marines swooning for her and she laughed and gave him a picture for you. So keep it in a safe place where none of your buddies can get their paws on it. Love from someone who is not a movie star, Mary.
train after that one. We can't let any more of the gold make it to Shima. We've got to make it to the bridge ahead of the train. Griffin! Griffin! Piece of work, but here's a better one. We are going carrier hunting.
Despite heavy losses in battleships during the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States fleet was able to maintain their naval strength. This feat was accomplished by the strategic use of aircraft carriers, as the United States quickly determined that air power was the future of naval superiority. The Japanese realized this as well, and began amassing one of the largest fleet of carriers the world had ever seen. The two seagoing forces met at Midway in early June of 1942. After 3 days of intense fighting, the Japanese had lost many of their large carriers and were forced to retreat. The victory at Midway marked a turning point in naval warfare. No longer were the number of battleships the most important factor. The nation with the greatest carrier fleet was king.
Dear Joe, Dad surprised us with a trip to Atlantic City on the 4th of July. There were so many servicemen on the train that most of us civilians had to stand for the entire ride, but I didn't care a bit. We had a wonderful time on the boardwalk and even saw the famous diving horse. We were passing a shooting gallery and Dad dared Mom to try it. She knocked him down like Annie Oakley and won a Cupid doll. He should have seen Dad's face. Maybe you Marines could use another sharpshooter. Wish you were here. Mary.
We're headed for the Japanese carrier Toshikaze. Intelligence is betting that Yamashita's gold is on board.
Only way we'll know for sure is to see for ourselves. While we're at it, we should send that bleeding tub to the bottom of the drink. And I got some ideas on how to get that particular job done.
身元不詳の航空機に次ぐこちら都市風身元を明らかにしてくださいどうぞ
こちらは川島飛躍です。極秘任務で動いてます。申し上げることができません。着艦強化願います。どうぞ。
了解直ちに着艦してください
They bought it. We're going in. With this naval uniform, I'll be able to move around the ship freely. Once we land, you guys lay low. I'll tell the crew to tow the plane to the hangar. When you're safely below, you should be able to move around and find that gold. In the meantime, I'll infiltrate the officers' quarters and try to find Shima.
おい、あの将校少し若すぎやしなかったか？
そうだよな。最近若い将校が増えてるからな。
In 1944, 2 years after General MacArthur had been ordered to leave 70,000 of his troops stranded, the United States would return to the Philippines. The road back to save MacArthur's men was not easy. Admiral Nimitz's overall attack plan involved a direct route to Japan, which bypassed the Philippines altogether. MacArthur appealed to the Joint Chiefs and eventually gained their support. In October 1944, MacArthur landed on the island of Leyte, declaring, "People of the Philippines, I have returned." MacArthur proceeded to regain control of the Philippines. However, less than a third of the troops he had left behind were rescued.
Dear Joe, yesterday Ray Parrish came by to visit. He brought one of those little records that you make in the booth to mail home. One night at the base on Wake Island, after a couple of beers, Ray and Donnie had made a recording as a joke. Ray had forgotten about it and just found it among his things. He played it for us. They sang Home on the Range, and Donnie was off-key as usual. Then there was a message at the end where Donnie says how much he misses all of us. As you can imagine, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Joe, I know you don't believe in such things, but hearing Donnie's voice was like a sign to me. It just made me believe even more that he's out there somewhere and that he's all right. Love from all of us, Mary.
EA Games.
Challenge everything.
EA Games presents an epic single-player adventure.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Survive the sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. Battle through the jungles of Guadalcanal. To the streets of Singapore. Experience the powerful realities of war with more than 20 authentic World War II weapons. Encounter intense banzai charges. Fight alongside battle-hardened allies. Featuring co-op multiplayer modes. Defeat the Japanese Empire. Medal of Honor Rising Sun will push the limits of electronic entertainment.
I ask that the Congress declare a state of war.
Medal of Honor Rising Sun. You don't play, you volunteer.